Today, we're going to be talking about the best partner for each restricted Pokemon in my opinion. Now, I do just quickly want to say to start this video, I'm not going to be talking about any of the forms that I don't believe are worth running. These are things like base Calyrex, base Kyurem, Necrozma, and so on. Right? And also, we are going to have some mons where, they potentially double up. And because of that, I am going to throw in a little, some honorable mentions probably as we go along. Just because I don't want to keep it too stagnant. I do just kind of want to give you guys some of the best combos, at least in my opinion. Anyway, to start off with, the first Pokemon I want to talk about here is Terapagos. Now, the reason I want to start off with Terapagos is this was the mon I thought definitely got the worst, coming into this format. I thought Terapagos, being the fact that it's a Terra Hog, this mon was really going to struggle, right? I felt like the Calm Mind stuff probably would still be the best way to run it. Like, the choice spec stuff feels really interesting because it's like, if you're not Terroring, it doesn't feel that great. Like, you look at these stats and it's like 105 special attack just isn't that great if it doesn't Terra. Of course, if it Terras, it gets a nice little buff to that, going up to, I believe, 130. Yeah, it gets a bit bulkier. It's pretty good, but the mon just felt like a Terra Hog, right? But that's where Calyrex-Shadow Rider comes into play. And the reason why I think these two work so well together is, like, one, Terapagos obviously doesn't want to deal with fighting types. That is the one type this mon doesn't want to deal with. It needs a way to deal with things like Koraidon, Zamazenta, of course, Urshifu, Iron Hands. Calyrex has a pretty good matchup into all of the above, especially too when you pair it with something like Incineroar, gives you the fake out support, of course, Intimidate, and then also just offers knockoff into the mirror. Of course, you can Flare Blitz and stuff like that, right? Just be generally annoying. But the reason I think Cali is so good is this is a mon that when it runs an item like Focus Sash, it really doesn't need its Terra, right? In the past, we saw Calyrex run things like Terra Dark, Terra Normal, Terra Fairy as well, or to kind of help in the mirror, or to, help deal with things like their Dark type weaknesses. And because of that, I do think something like a Terragos Calyrex is really, really good. Because this is a mon where, again, it doesn't need to Terra. You can sit there, you can click your moves, right? Whether it be Psychic. I will say as well, I do think you want Side Shock for the mirror. Just because if you go up against opposing Terapagos and it gets up like 2 Calm Minds, this combo really can't touch it without setting up itself. So having Side Shock is really, really nice for that. Protect, and then the last move can be whatever you think the team needs. Personally, I've been running Disable. Encore is very good. I really like Encore. Disable is really funny when you pair it with things like Whimsicott as well. If you have like Whimsicott on the team for like a little bit of tail and give you that bit more of an offensive mode, you can Encore them into something and then outspeed them and disable it. It's really funny. But yeah, I think Nasty Plot is also fine on this team as well, especially if you're pairing it with things like Rillaboom, like Incineroar. They're going to be ones that give you the space you need to set it up. And it's just really, really good. And again, they cover each other incredibly well, right? Terapagos is pretty good into a lot of the stuff that Calyrex doesn't want to deal with, being like the normal types and the dark types. It can Calm Mind up once or twice and kind of deal with it. And of course, Cali kind of helps to deal with those fighting types. I would say I think the best set on this guy is probably just like Lefty's Calm Mind, right? You're going Terra Starstorm, you're going Calm Mind, and you're going Protect. And then I have seen a lot of people running coverage. I do think you want it. Earth Power is really nice to hit those steel types. And also Flamethrower could be really interesting as well. But I do think Flamethrower is better on our honorable mention, which is Koraidon. This is the other restricted it's seen a lot of success with. I'm not going to go too in-depth with it here, but these are two mons that cover each other pretty well. I think the biggest reason for Koraidon, why it pairs so well with Pagos, is because Koraidon can build a really strong, Sun Core around it, right? You can put a Chi-Yu on the team, you can put a Fluttermane on the team. Fluttermane can help, with the fighting types. Of course, Chi-Yu, 1, benefits a lot from the Sun, but 2, also buffs up the Terapagos if it does get going. And because of that is like kind of an honorable mention. And you would run Flamethrower and stuff like that. But I think something like this is probably fine, and probably the best way to run Terapagos right now. So the next mon I want to talk about here is kind of, it goes both ways, right? Because I think when you talk about like the Caly-Shadow plus Terapagos, I do think Terapagos' best part is Caly-Shadow, but Caly-Shadow's best partner is not Terapagos, right? This is one of the combos where I do think it kind of goes both ways. And because of that, I will throw out an honorable mention later, but it's just Zacian and his Kyogre, right? Why do these two work so well together? Kyogre sets up the rain, Zacian being a steel type. This is also the wrong Zacian form. I should probably get the right Zacian. I'm going to talk about it, Zacian. This one being a steel type, obviously, you get the help there, right? Also, Kyogre is the one that can struggle quite a bit into Miraidon, right? Obviously, it's a dragon type, so it resists you. It's an electric type. It can hit you for super effective damage. Zacian is just really, really good, right? If they don't Terra, you can hit it with a big player off. If they do Terra into, of course, Terra Fairy, which is still the most common move on it, you can hit it with the Behemoth Blade on this one. And it's also just like a really good support, right? You'll see some Kyogre's teams run things like Grimmstyle plus Rillaboom, right? If you do that, Substitute is very, very good on it. Sub's also really good because it, keeps you away from the Intimidate cycling of a mon like Incineroar. That's another thing as well. Zacian's like, the mon it hates more than anything is Incin, of course. Kyogre is probably the best restricted into Incin, especially if you pair it with something like, we've seen Bruxish recently has been picking up. Serena, of course, is good. Giraffe's good. I will like throw an honorable mention in for Bruxish as well, just because like I've seen it picking up a lot, and I think some people don't realize why. I don't even know how to spell this mon's name. I've never used it. But Dazzling, obviously giving you priority block, but Psychic Fangs can break screens, and I think in this metagame, screens is going to be really good. Also, a big reason why you might even see things like Scarf Urshifu run like 4th move Brick Break, just to throw that out there. But yeah, these two here form like a really, really potent core. Kyogre also loves playing with mons like Urshifu. Shen Power is also another mon as well that really benefits from Rain and also benefits from like Zacian. So there's like a really cool offensive core you can play there where you go things like Scarf, Shifu, Sash, Chen Power. And like they're both incredibly good in Rain. They're also both really good with Zacian. So yeah, just some really cool stuff there. And I do think this mon always wants to protect. Zacian, again, you can do a lot of different things, man. Like Sword Stance is honestly pretty good. If you don't have enough like fighting coverage, you can always go Sacred Sword. I once did actually test out Scary Face myself. I don't think it's worth it, but like there's always the option of it. So that's pretty cool. And then Kyogre as a mod, it can run anything. I've seen people running like Assault Vest. I've seen people running Mystic Water. I've seen people running Choice Scarf, Choice Specs, whatever you want. Yeah. In terms of moves, you're always going like Water Spout, you're going Origin Pulse, and you're going probably Ice Beam at a bare minimum. If you're running like a choice item, the last move is probably something like Thunder. If you're running obviously like Mystic Water leftovers, then it's just Protect. But yeah, obviously, look, this is a tried and true core. It's so good. They both like, again, they both like to play with the same friends, right? Like Zacian, it hates Incineroar. Urshifu in Rain, it just rips through that mon. Kyogre, again, you give it some priority block, rips through that mon. You can force the Terra out of it pretty comfortably. And again, if an Instant Terra is in front of a Zacian, it's dead meat. Behemoth Blade, or yeah, Behemoth Blade, Play Rough, they're both going to run through it. So yeah, one of the best cores, Swordfish. So the next one here, I'm going to do a bit of a double up because unfortunately, I don't think either of these mons are that good. And this was one of the, two of the mons in particular I spent the most time on, and that is the 2 Kyurem forms. And basically, like, my thought process was this, yeah. Offensively, there's, like, nothing that jumps out, off the page to me. Like, having a Dragon type and an Ice type is pretty good. They hit basically everything that isn't a Steel type. And, of course, like, Kyurem is a mon. I believe it gets Earth Power, and it also gets Fusion Bolt, right? I think. Yeah, Fusion Flare, sorry. It's like, you have options to hit the Steel types there. I believe this guy gets, like, Earthquake and whatnot. Sorry, it gets Earth Power. Do you get any ground coverage, actually? Look, normally you're not running ground coverage on this. Yeah, so it's literally just Earth Power. But like, I don't think this mod wants to run it anyway, right? It probably wants to run something like Dragon Dance, and then you're just going like Double Stab. It's like Icicle Spear, and it's Scale Shot. So like, this is probably what this guy wants to run, right? And then you want to run not Clear Amulet. So this is another thing, right? This mod wants Clear Amulet, and I think that's why it's bad, because it needs loaded dice, yeah. So you're like probably running like a moveset of like this and then like this guy here as well. Like I like Assault Vest. Choice Specs is also really interesting, but like kind of wants to play with like Snow, which like isn't that great right now. But like you probably want some combination of like, you want Draco Meteor, there we go, Draco Meteor, Blizzard. Again, this could be Ice Beam, this could be Freeze Dry. Like it's kind of like whatever, yeah. Like if you're running specs or AV, like obviously you run something like this where you just have like one coverage move to hit the Steel types. If you're running like Life Orb, of course you just like drop one of these two and then just go like Life Orb Protect. But basically, long story short, the mon I think works best with these guys is Zamazenta. Of course, Zamazenta is probably the cream of the crop right now in terms of supports. I think it is the best support in the game. Obviously, it gives them wide guard access. It also has body press as well, which is really good into the Steel types. And Zamazenta is just a genuinely good mon. And that's kind of how I chalked this up. I looked at it like the biggest issue is they share the fighting type weakness. Like that is the one thing going against it. But I also think having the offensive fighting type, with like things like body press, right? Because you got to remember, yeah, like body press, a lot of people right now are still going like max impish like this, and then you get like +1, like yes, it's only 80 base power, but like you have 300 defense. Like it's absolutely absurd how much damage it does. But yeah, this is definitely gonna be one of the shorter ones because these are the 2 mons I don't want to say I struggle the most with, but they were definitely up there. But yeah, I think both Kyurems probably want to play with Zamazenta because, like, again, they also just like they really appreciate wide guard. Yeah, like they're in such an awkward speed tier where it's like this guy, like even Adamant +1 doesn't outspeed Calyrex-Shadow. Like I don't know what Game 3's thinking, man. Like this thing actually has to run Jolly, and like yeah, its attack stats stupid, so like it's not losing that much from it. But the fact that this mon has to run Jolly to outspeed things like even like a Choice Scarf Chiyu, yeah, like Adamant +1 doesn't outspeed Chiyu. Adamant +1 doesn't outspeed Calyrex-Shadow. Adamant +1 doesn't outspeed like even Urshifu Scarf. Yeah, so yeah, that's gonna be the combos there. So I'm just gonna get this one out of the way now because I do think it is probably the best combo in the game. And I kind of mentioned it earlier, but it's CSR Zama. Basically, these mons just have stupid synergy, yeah. Calyrex right now, I did mention the Focus Sash stuff earlier. I do think Life Orb is probably still the best way to play this mon. Either like Life Orb, Terra Dark, or Terra Normal. I personally prefer Dark because I think it just helps out a lot more in the mirror. Like, yeah, like, you know, you're immune to, like, sorry, you're not immune to the Astral Barrages anymore, but at least you resist the Astral Barrage and you're immune to the Psychics, yeah, so it's kind of there. Of course, Calyrex does what it does. It clicks Astral Barrage, it clicks a Psychic move, and then it just clicks, like, Protect and then whatever. I think on this set, you probably want Plot, because, like, a lot of the time when you play this with Zama, you're pairing it up with things like Rilla, Incien, Urshi +1, or, like, you know, Amoonguss, Incien, Urshi. So, like, you've got the space to click the plot. Like, that's what you should play for. You get up the plot and then you run through. And then, of course, Zamazenta just helps out, right? Again, we mentioned it, you know, Astral Barrage can't hit normal types. The Dark types resist it. And, of course, the Dark types are immune to Psychic. So, this mon wants a fighting type. The honorable mention, of course, for the Cali... Actually, I'm going to talk about it later. No, sorry, I do have that later, so I'm not going to mention it here. But Calyrex, its best friend is a fighting type. Of course, Zamazenta right now, one of the best. Has Wide Guard for the mirror, which is incredibly good. Of course, we just spoke about Body Press being broken on this mon. Heavy Slam is also, like, just really, really nice on this mon. I know people go back and forth between Heavy Slam and Behemoth. Wait. So you can put Behemoth Bash on this. Can I do that on Zacian? I thought Zacian you couldn't put Behemoth Blade. Oh, you can actually put Behemoth Blade. I've been roasted in the comments before. Guys, Ironhead turns into Behemoth Blade for anyone who didn't know. It doesn't learn Behemoth Blade. It learns Ironhead. Ironhead becomes Behemoth Blade. But I just wanted to throw that in there. But yeah, of course, like, something like this is fine. Of course, you drop, like, one of these for Protect. But I do think this is just the best combo in the game. They synergize so well together. Both are very fast. And yeah, the synergy is just insane, right? Like, when you think about the stuff that doesn't want to eat a Body Press, right? You're talking about Ghost types. You Astral Barrage them. You're talking about Poison types. You Psychic them. I'm blanking on one. What's the other one I'm thinking of? Zacian. Psychic types. You don't want to Body Press Psychic types? You Astral Barrage them. But yeah, so again, their synergy, it's just cracked. They're both fast. They're very offensive. And yeah, look, I think it's the best combo in the game. I think people are going to have to find ways to beat it. Carrying on from best combos in the game, we're going to talk about my best boy, Miraidon, and his best buddy, Calyrex. Now, I'm gonna use this for the Calyrex-Ice one because I do think Miraidon does have a bit better partners. It's not better partners, but it has more good partners than Calyrex. I do have Calyrex like later on this list, but I just think these two in particular are just so good, right? Like when you think about Miraidon, this mon, it wants to click specs. Yeah, it wants to click specs and it just wants to drift. Yeah, in an ideal world, you just drift everything. Yeah, sure, Draco's great, you know, picking up KOs here and there, but realistically, this is kind of what you want to do. Your Terra is probably going to be electric. It's going to be, you know, Fairy, one of the two. And basically, if you spam and drift, there's two types you don't want to see in front of you. It's a grass type and it's a ground type. One resists, the other's immune. Calyrex is the mon that it just says, feed me those. Feed me the Landorus Incarnates. Feed me the Rillaboons. I just think the combo is just so incredibly good. And then on top of that as well, when you think about the mons that Miraidon wants to play with, right? It wants to play with Iron Hands. It wants to play with Farigiraf, right? Farigiraf is great. You put it next to Calyrex. It helps out a lot into the bad, you know, into the Calyrex-Shadow matchup. Of course, Iron Hands is just another absurdly strong mon that wants to play under the, you know, under the Trick Room conditions. Of course, Calyrex is also a mon as well where you can pair it with something like Miraidon, right? And you can run like a little bit of speed. You know, you do the Justin Tank set where you hit, you know, 85 speed. That allows you to hit 170. And again, you can play those mind games where you go up against a Landorus. They want to bring the Landorus into your Miraidon. All of a sudden, you play fast mode, you click Tailwind, the Calyrex just outspeeds and one-shots the Landorus. So, yeah, just a very, very potent combo, super strong offensively. And also, going back to, like, the Trick Room mode of Cali, obviously, Trick Room, like, it enables Miraidon Trick Room with things like Iron Hands. One of Calyrex's biggest ones it doesn't want to deal with under Trick Room is Amoonguss, right? Because Amoonguss, a lot of the time, it can Terra Water, it'll spoil you, it'll put one mon to sleep, then it's going to spoil the Calyrex, put it to sleep. Amoonguss doesn't want to Terra Water in front of him, Miraidon, and it can't just spam Spore on a team that has Miraidon, right? So, because of that, I think these two are just, again, the offensive synergies there. The fact that Miraidon actually doesn't hate Trick Room for like a fast restrict. It's like you have this fast mode. Like I've even seen people like, I think they were like looking at something like this. Like actually you don't even have to go this quick. Like you can literally run like, oh, what was it? Is it, I think this, right? Because this outspeeds Timid Kyogre. So you literally just go like Modest and then just go like Max Bulk, something like this. And then you just play it like hard Trick Room. You just go like hard Trick Room plus this, sorry, not this. This is Scarf. You just go like Scarf plus hard Trick Room, and then you just have like a Giraffe on the team with Helping Hand, and then you literally just like sit there, like drift like one-shots one or two mons, and then you're like, okay, now go into the Calyrex Trick Room. So like even that's like incredibly potent, man. It's so good. But yeah, just like one of the best combos, man. Like their synergy is insane. So the next mon I'm going to bring up here is Eternatus, right? Now, Eternatus actually is a personal favorite of mine. I don't know if anyone was around like at the start of Regulation G last year. There was one team in particular I loved with Eternatus, and that was with my goat Chiyu, and that was the Meteor Beam Power Herb stuff, right? So I do think this set here is actually like really, really good. This is my like honorable I'm typing in Power Herb there, my god. Meteor Beam. This is like my honorable mention because I will talk about two different sets with Eternatus because I do think it has two viable sets. The first is Paragon Sun. I would say, which one's better? It's probably, honestly, they're both fun. Like they're both fun. Both Koraidon and Groudon both work. But basically the idea on a set like that is you go like Dynamax Cannon, you go Meteor Beam, and then you go Sludge Bomb, right? You just go like, 3 attack, protect, something like this. And you go like super offensive. You pair it with Sun, you pair it with Chi Yu, you just have like overwhelming offense, right? But the other set for Eternatus, that I've also actually seen quite a bit on ladder recently is like the leftover stuff where you go like leftovers, you have pressure. I'm pretty sure they were like playing like Terra Fairy or something like that. And then you just go like Cosmic Power, you go Recover, you go Taunt, you just be like, sorry, not Taunt, Toxic. You just be like super, super annoying, something like this, right? And then you just go like Bulky As. And you pair it up with none other than Ho-Oh. Now, the reason for this is like, one, Ho-Oh gives you a mon that can switch in onto the ground type moves, of course. It also kind of fits into that play style of like, you have like Regenerator, right? So this is a mon that's happy to, play in a core with like Instant Amoonguss where it's happy to, switch out, right? Again, has a very nice defensive profile when paired with Amoonguss. You can switch in on attacks that neither one likes. Also, Ho-Oh's like biggest thing as a mon is it doesn't like Miraidon. Eternatus is a mon that, like, again, depending on the Miraidon's partners, like if it's Calyrex-Shadow, it's a bit interesting. Sorry, Calyrex-Ice, but if it's something like a Lunala, which is also really common, Eternatus gets up like, +2, and then like as long as they aren't Psyshock, it really doesn't. I mean, even with Psyshock, they don't care that much. But yeah, something like this, whether you go like lefties here, you go like a Citrus Berry here. You can always offer as well like some speed control. I will say on this set as well, you're probably dropping either Protect or Toxic. You probably still want Sludge Bomb. Like you need to actually be able to deal damage. Like this one has a stupid special attack stat even with that investment. But yeah, you need to be able to deal some damage. And then Ho-Oh again, defensively, it's just really good, man. Like you can, spam out the Toxics, right? You can spam out the Sacred Fires. You can burn stuff. And then eventually you just, God, I can't sacred. There we go. Can't spell today. But yeah, eventually, with pressure, even into things like Urshifu, right? Like, they can only click Surging Strikes 4 times, right? Again, you pair that up with things like Rillaboom to give you a bit of extra support. You have a Moongus there, for, switch in, put stuff to sleep while you set up Cosmic Powers. It's just a really annoying core. Like, obviously, Eternatus isn't the best mon, and, like, I do think there is actually potential with this mon. Like, I have a feeling if I was to do a tier list today, it's probably, like, B tier, just because, especially in closed team sheet, you don't know what you're going for. Like, is it the Cosmic Power stuff? Is it the Meteor Beam stuff? But yeah, I would say Ho-Oh or like a Sun Core is probably the best way to play this mon. So now I'm gonna cover 3 separate mons that I think are all pretty average, and we'll start with Dialga. Now, I will say I think Origin's just better, and they do like the exact same job. I don't know what item you would want to run over Adamant Crystal. Like you're happy to have that special defense buff, and you're happy to have the extra boost here. And this mon actually does a bit of damage with things like Draco Meteor. Even Dragon Pulse is fine. And then what's its, because like you get Roar Time, but that's like, yeah, I was gonna say that's Dragon type. What is this thing's best Steel type attack? Pretty sure it's just Flash Cannon, right? Yeah, it's literally just Flash Cannon. So yeah, you go something like this with like Trick Room and then whatever you want in the last slot. Protect's always like obviously a decent option. But yeah, basically I would say that I think Dialga's best buddy is probably Lunala. Now, I don't think this is a very good core. Maybe the answer is just Calyrex-Ice Rider. But I do think it's Lunala. Obviously, Dialga does have a bit of an issue with ground types, of course. Like, Groudon's probably a big issue, and that's kind of why I'm saying, like, Calyrex could be good. But I do think, like, Lunala with Wide Guard Trick Room is, like, really solid, right? You go something like this, and then you just run, like, double attack, right? You run, like, Moonguss Speed. Again, this gives you something into the Calyrex-Shadows, which can be, like, super annoying for this one. Also, Dialga hates fighting types. That's, like, another thing. That's kind of why I didn't want Calyrex, because it's, like, yeah, Calyrex is good, but, like, it's not the best into Koraidon or Zamazenta. Like, obviously, it's a lot better into Koraidon than it is Zama. But, like, Zama is still, like, super, super frustrating for it to deal with. But yeah, set like this, where, like, again, you can play this in Tail Room, right? Because, like, this mod, naturally, pretty decent in Tail Room. Same thing with this mod, right? Like, you go with speed like this. Again, this can be, like, you can have Trick Room. You pair it up with, like, a potential Tailwind setup. Like, maybe, you've got Trick Room there, you've got Tailwind here, right? And these are 2 mods that just naturally function in Tailwind pretty well. Oh, sorry, Tail Room, I should say, pretty well. They're both quite bulky, of course. You know, they both have pretty solid special attack stats. And yeah, I think there's a bit of synergy there. I don't think either mon is the best. But I would say if I was to play Dialga, it's probably Lunala. But realistically, you just want something that plays to Trick Room or Tail Room. And because of that, Lunala and, you know, honorable mention to Calyrex-Shadow. So now, moving over to Dialga's best buddy, we have Palkia. Now, I will actually talk about the two Palkia forms separately, as I do think it's probably like the best way to do this. I think Palkia's best friend is Calyrex-Ice Rider. I can't believe CIR doesn't work, but it's Calyrex-Ice Rider. Why? One, I think this is a mon that, like, with its stats, it kind of like it's so quick, but like it's not quick enough, and it's a mon like it doesn't have HP, so like it wants max HP. Then you want to invest into the special attack, and then I don't know. Like I think you just go something like this. Yeah, you just go like Quiet Nature, play something like this. You have this be like your Trick Room mon, right? And then you pair it up with like 2 attacks. I will say its biggest issue is like Spatial Rend like actually isn't bad. Like Spatial Rend I do think is pretty solid, but then it's like what you're clicking like Hydro Pump doesn't feel good. You've got like Surf, which like again doesn't feel good. But really the main reason also why I think Palkia is good with Calyrex-Ice, like we know what Calyrex does. Yeah, I'm not gonna put it set in. But it really helps into one of Calyrex-Ice's worst matchups, which is Sword Fish in particular. Obviously one being a water type and a dragon type, you 4x resist the Kyogre, which is really good. That is one of the ones that Calyrex kind of struggles with just a little bit, because Kyogre resists you, you don't resist it. But also too, with a Terra, something like Terra Water even, it really helps into Zacian, right? Zacian can't just pick you up with player offs anymore. You get this one under Trick Room, and it just starts dealing quite a bit of damage. But yeah, I would say something like this is probably the best way to play regular Calyrex, and I do think there's a world where, regular Palkia, sorry. And I do think there's a world where Palkia plus Calyrex is like actually pretty solid. And then to piggyback off that, we have Palkia Origin Form. Oh god, I can't type today, holy shit. Palkia Origin Form. I'm gonna go with my GOAT Miraidon, and the reason for that is something like this, right? You have this guy, he has Terrain, he has Tailwind, he has Dragon Cheer. That's basically it, right? You play like Scope Lens here, you play Lustrous Orb here, and then you just go like Spatial Rend, and then you just go Draco Meteor. And yeah, you have a pretty good time. You have guaranteed crits with on the Draco Meteors. Of course, you have guaranteed crits on Electro Drift. And then yeah, same thing. You have guaranteed crits on Spatial Rend, and then whatever water type move you kind of force yourself into running. You have like a 50% chance to crit Hydro Pump. So I do think this is one of the better ways to run it. Of course, it is a bit faster. It is a mon that like naturally it does hit that like 170 speed tier, which actually isn't too bad. Especially too because like you can pair it up with those bulky Miraidons where you'll run something like this where you get like max HP, you hit the bump, and then I think this is like what I ran similar to this at least at Brisbane. So yeah, you can like run something like this where like you're kind of staggering the speeds here, and because of that, yeah, it's pretty quick. It does some things. And Dragon Cheer is just like I think Palkia is one of the few mons that actually likes Dragon Cheer, just because again like this here having a high crit ratio, just guaranteeing the crit, 100 base power is pretty good. And of course as well, you can always throw like Draco Meteor on there as well for like a last ditch effort, like you need that little bit of extra. Just take the risk on the 50-50. But yeah, that is probably the best way to play Palkia Origin. And then finally, to round that little section out, we have their friend Giratina. Now, Giratina is like an interesting mon, right? Because I was kind of looking at it and I'm like, how would you do this? So I'm just going to throw out some stuff there for both forms. I think this form, as weird as it sounds, because this is the more offensive form, the Levitate stuff paired with Pressure Eternatus, I think is like kind of interesting, right? Because defensively, they kind of synergize a bit. You can Toxic Stall. Shadow Force is a very, very powerful move. Obviously Breaking Protect, being that it's stab, it is actually quite nice. Like this does a lot of damage coming off like an Adamant set, especially because like the orb is boosting it. And then again, defensively pairs like really, really interesting with the Eternatus. So we'll just like throw him in there. Again, I think this is more for the pressure stuff that we talked about earlier, similar to the Ho-Oh set. But I also think pairing it up with our good friend Koraidon is actually also a decent way to run it. Again, it's just because like type synergies, right? Like it's a ghost type. It doesn't want to deal with normal types. Fighting types are really good. I did think about Zamazenta, but like I don't think Giratina plus Zamazenta is just doing enough. And because of that, like you play Koraidon, you put a Sun Claw around it, you slap this mon in there as kind of like a shadow sneak bot, right? So it's like, hey, you chip down the Calyrex, you finish it off with shadow sneak, something like that, yeah. But yeah, look, I think there is a very solid argument to make that Giratina is the worst mon in the game. And this is probably the best way to run it. So next mon here is one of my personal favorites of the metagame, and that is Ho-Oh. Now, I do think the best way to run Ho-Oh is something like this, where you got like Clear Amulet, you want Regenerator, of course you want Sacred Sword, you want Brave Bird. Brave Bird, just an incredibly good stab move on this mon. And then it's probably something like Protect, and then either Tailwind or Recover, whatever your team kind of needs. I think if you pair it with Groudon, in particular, you can definitely... Groudon. I think if you go Groudon, you can run Tailwind. If you pair it with Koraidon, which is like my other mention here, I think you probably go something like Recover. And basically, the idea with Ho-Oh, in my opinion, is this is just a really good mon that naturally pairs really well with both Sunsetters, right? Of course, being that you're a fire type, you are, you're like neutral to Calyrex-Ice. You can threaten the burns into it. You can also force the Terra Fire from it. If you force the Terra Fire, then you start hitting it with P-Blades. Really, really good. And of course, with Koraidon's like biggest weakness, of course, is that it's 4x weak to Fairy. Ho-Oh, a fire type, very, very bulky, can switch in on any Fairy type move. So that's kind of the idea there. And of course, setting up Sun for Sacred Fire is just great. This is the one that naturally has a lot of really good matchups. It's something I've spoken about a lot in the past, where Ho-Oh honestly matches up really, really well into everything that is like not Miraidon or Kyogre. Miraidon obviously doesn't have a good matchup into Groudon. You're kind of forced to Draco Meteor it. And Kyogre, while it does have a pretty decent matchup into both of them, if you are able to keep the weather control on your side, it makes it a lot more manageable, right? Switching in the Groudon there to obviously weaken the water type moves can definitely go a long way. And then, yeah, same thing just goes with Koraidon, right? Defensively, they're just like really, really good together. You put on a lot of pressure. Again, Koraidon doesn't love seeing the Calyrex-Ices. Obviously, Groudon's a lot better there. But of course, into the Kyogres, you don't really care about it. They're kind of forced to Ice Beam you. And if it's one of those things where if a Kyogre has to click like 2 or 3 Ice Beams, it honestly doesn't feel that great. So I'm going to make this next one quick. It is the counterpart to Ho-Oh, and that is Lugia. Now, again, sadly, I don't think Lugia is a good mon. Like, when you look at restricteds, right, this one has 90 attack, yeah? Like, let's just have a look at the best Pokemon in the game. What's the lowest attack? Eternatus at 95. What's the counterpart? Has 145 special attack. Calyrex-Shadow, 165 special attack. Then you have Lugia, and that's it. Okay, so let's have a look at that. Lugia had 90 attack. Oh, has 90 special attack. What has the worst special attack out of all the restricteds? Oh, you got 80 on Zacian. Oh, 150 attack. You got, 80 on Zamazenta. Of course, you use his defensive stat to attack. You have Calyrex, 165 attack. And then you have Lugia, and that's it. So Lugia offensively is, without a doubt, the worst restricted legendary we have, unfortunately. Very, very bulky. Multi-scale, very, very good ability. Of course, it has Calm Mind. It has Aeroblast, which is a very, very good stab move. By the way, make Aeroblast like 100%, please. But then this mon like really struggles into hitting things like rock types and steel types. And then it's like, well, just run Earth Power and then like run Protect. Something like this, yeah? This is like probably the best way to play them on, right? You slap a lefties on it and you call it a day. You get some defensive terror. What's the best defensive terror? I'm not entirely too sure. Part of me is like water, but then you still just lose to Miraidon. Grass isn't bad, but then you also still just lose to Calyrex. And yeah, so it gets really, really awkward. And that also comes into where I think this mon's best partner is. This mon, if you play against a Miraidon Calyrex team, which again, I think is probably the second best core in the game, you just have to leave this at home. You can't bring it. And because of that, I think its best partner is Zacian. Zacian, very, very good into the two of them. Of course, naturally beats both of them. It resists the Glacial Lance, threatens it with Behemoth Blade. And of course, as well, you, what's it called? You resist Draco, or you're immune to Draco, I should say. You resist the Dazzling Gleam. And yes, they can Electro Drift you, but a lot of the time, you are the naturally faster mon. You threaten the one-shot with Play Rough, which means you can force out the Terror. You have something like Protect, you can Scout turn 1. Of course, if they do Terra Fairy, you have Behemoth Blade as well. And because of that, I do think Zacian is probably the best partner with Lugia because, like, again, you could run, like, the Psych Up stuff that I know the Muck Smeagol guys like to run. And maybe that's the play. Maybe you just play it with Calyrex-Shadow and you just, like, double Psych Up a Moody Muck. But I think, yeah, if you wanted to play a more honest set, Zacian is the way to go. All right, so now we have a bunch of Psychic types to talk about. And the first one here is Lunala. Now, Lunala is best paired with Miraidon, in my opinion. Very, very similar to the Calyrex-Ice stuff I said earlier, right? This is a mon that really likes to play under Trick Room. Obviously, it's pretty quick for it, but it's honestly a really good setup. Of course, you get things like Moongeist Beam. You also get Moonbeam as well. You have Psyshock as well, which can really help into things like Calm Mind Terapagos. And of course, you have like Wide Guard. I can't believe I was typing today. You have a set like this. Also, Electric Seed, very, very good on this one. Like, very, very good. And the cool thing with Lunala as well is it actually likes playing Tailwind. And what I mean by that is you can just run like 4 here. You just go like max. Of course, you have a very solid special defense stat. Special defense. Your defense stat kind of underwhelming, but again, you put like 1 point into this thing, and then you get that, then you get the electric seed. All of a sudden, that becomes a lot better. And of course, this one does have issues into things like Incineroar. Last I checked, a Choice Specs Electro Drift is one of the stupidest moves in the game. You can absolutely remove it from the game. And again, Miraidon loves playing under Trick Room. At least its friends do, right? It loves playing with things like Theorycraft. It loves playing with things like Iron Hands. Both of which want to get under Trick Room, and Lunala can really, really help with that. And of course, Iron Hands as well. It normally runs double Fighting Stab, which means you struggle into Ghost types. So having something like a Stab at Moongeist Beam definitely goes a long way there. The next guy here is the GOAT, the OG Mewtwo. Now, I actually think Mewtwo is like this close to actually being a half decent mon. It just sucks that like Calyrex not only adds stats in every single way, but it also has Unnerve, and then on top of that, it just has another ability at the same time. But I would say the best way to play this mon, there's two ways. If I was to be really serious about it, I think it's Koraidon. Why you struggle into dark types, that's a big one. Obviously having a restricted that's a fighting type is really, really good. But I think you just like, again, you just build out some core like this, where it's like the Mewtwo really isn't like, it feels like it's not a restricted on this team, and it's like, again, it goes back to the whole thing of like, you could just make this a Calyrex-Shadow and it's probably just a better team. But I think building out a team like this, where it's like you have the Psy Spam option, but then you have the Chew to buff up the Mewtwo, and then of course like Fluttermane to like help, things like Terra Normal, Focus Sash to help into Calyrex-Shadow is like really, really good. So I think like something like this could definitely make Mewtwo viable. Like Mewtwo's biggest thing, right, is it has like a really deep bag. Of course, like Expanding Force is its best move, so like Indeedee does feel like a really natural partner. It's just, again, the issue is like Calyrex-Shadow is just like better. But this one gets a lot, man. It gets Weather Ball, which is like really cool. So you can go like Terrify a Weather Ball. Like its best of one is actually crazy. So like in terms of like how I would run this, I think Sash is the best. I did test Life Orb. It really felt like you need Sash. It was like Expanding Force, Protect, and then like whatever the team needs. So something like Weather Ball is really good. Obviously helps you into the Steel types. And then honestly from there, it's kind of just like whatever feels the best. Again, this mon just has a stupid move pool, right? You can go for things like Earth Power. Flamethrower is there, but of course we have a Weather Ball for that. You can run Helping Hand if you want. I'll talk about that move there shortly because I think that's really interesting. But yeah, this mon, it has stupid stuff, right? You can even run like Side Strike as well if you just wanted just a consistent single target attack, right? So something like that I do think is like really, really good. In terms of the Terra, I do think Stella is this mon's best Terra, just because again, it's normally running like 3 coverage moves. So having that option is like really, really good. But the other mon I think you could pair with it is Kyogre. And again, this is all theory. I've not actually looked at this properly yet, but I think there's a world where you go like a Life Orb, you pair it with Indeedee, and the reason you pair it with Indeedee is because then you don't have to like run Protect, right? That's kind of the idea in my head, yeah. You run it with Indeedee, you don't have to run Protect, and you just run something like this. It's crazy. I haven't tested it. It's in the noggin, right? You have Thunder, which is helped by Rain. You have Weather Ball, which is helped by Rain. You have Hurricane, which is helped by Rain. And then you have Expanding Force. And then on top of that, Kyogre likes to play with a Priority Block. So you're slapping Indeedee on there, and you have a damn good time. So like something like this, like I don't know how good it is. I've got a team in the builder I want to work on and like actually play some games. I see the potential. The vision is there. Maybe we actually, I was gonna say maybe we need Mega Mewtwo. What's Mega Mewtwo stats? If I ran Mega Mewtwo Y, how quick is this thing? It's still slower than Calyrex-Shadow, man. Like, just flip its attack and speed or something. I don't know. But yeah, they're my Mewtwo teams. I'm really passionate. I love Mewtwo. It's one of the GOATs, man. But sadly, it's just not one of the best ones we've ever seen. So the next ones here, I'm also gonna be pretty quick with because I don't believe in them, and I think it's kind of the same issue. And that's Dawnwings and Duskmane. Now, like the issue with these two, right, is they both really want to play in Trick Room, but like I don't think they pair that well with any of our current Trick Room setters. Like I thought about Lunala, but it's like nah. Like I looked at Calyrex-Ice, but like again, like you're not really helping each other. You're both psychic types. It feels awkward. Like I looked at Palkia and Dialga. It's like not great. And honestly, the mon I just came to was Zamazenta. I don't think these are good combos. I wouldn't recommend to run them. Like I personally not a believer in these mons. Like maybe Groudon's the answer. I don't know. But like my whole thing, like when I thought about these guys here was they're weak to Calyrex-Shadow. They need Wide Guard. Zamazenta kind of makes the most sense. Like, of course, this guy does get Wide Guard himself. I lied, actually. He doesn't get Wide Guard. Don't even worry. Okay, I didn't even know that. I thought he also got wide guard. Okay, yeah, Zamazenta's the guy. They need wide guard. Like, again, could be a Lunala, but like, yeah, I don't know. You just go something like this. You wide guard, you Moose Guy's Beam, you have a good day. I will say, like, the one thing going for these guys is their, like, signature moves, ignoring abilities, which means you can snipe Terapagoses. There was one team, like, back at the start of Reg G I was testing for fun, which was the Solgaleo team, and I, like, just one-shot a Terapagos through its ability, which was really funny. But yeah, I would say their best partner is Zamazenta. It just gives them wide guard support. Offensively, it's also nice too. It gives you, like, an option that hits steel types for super effective damage, also dark types as well. So there's a lot of type synergy there. Wide guard support is also very needed. But yeah, two of the lesser mons in my opinion right now. Maybe the argument is you just play Necrozma on Hard Trick Room. Dawn Wings is probably better. You just, like, pair it with, like, another Hard Trick Room setter. You use your other pieces to protect you against what you're weak to, right? And maybe that's just the play. So next mon on my list is the GOAT Rayquaza. Now, I'm going to keep this one pretty simple. I think Rayquaza's best set right now is either Clear Amulet or Choice Band paired up with Terra Normal Extreme Speed, right? I think this is the way to do it. And I think the way you abuse it is you just go something like, that's Drake Immediate. That's meant to be Dragon's Ascent, and then you just go, like, Protect, and you go Swords Dance. So something like this is probably the way to do it, in my opinion. That's Swift's Swords Dance. And I think you pair it up with things like you just got, like, an Urshifu. Choice Scarf Urshi is really interesting on a team like this because it has access to coaching, which is definitely cool. I mentioned earlier as well, this one gets Brick Break, which I kind of expect to see pick up as the format develops. It also wants to really play with Chen Pao, of course. And I think the restricted you pair this with, it's pretty simple. It's just Zacian. Zacian's just a good boy. Again, love pairing with Chen Pao, really good with Rayquaza. Defensive synergy is kind of decent. And they also pair incredibly well with Weezing. I actually have a team with this core I've been working on. I haven't been able to play it as much as I would have liked. I started, like, a fresh ult with it and won, like, 8 or 9 games in a row, and it, like, felt really good. I just haven't had the chance to play it since then. Also, not this Weezing. It's Galarian Weezing. I think this is the better one for it. But yeah, I played a call with this, and I think my last piece of memory was Ogapon Hearthflame, I think. But then, like, the team has, like, no special attackers. But yeah, it's still pretty good. I would say this is the best way to run Rayquaza, though. I think just offensively, they pair really well. Ray gets rid of the Sun, obviously, which can be really annoying for Zacian. And yeah, I just think that Terra Normal E-Speed is actually kind of broken if they ever let you set up. Because, again, I think I paired mine with, I'm pretty sure it was either an Ogre Hearthflame or it was an Insyn. I kind of forget now. But having support to, like, buy you space to get up an SD, and then, like, you have a look at this attack stat, like, this is absurd. Like, 444 at +2, and then you Terra Normal, and then you Chen Pao, and it's dumb. It's a stupid amount of attack, man. So, next guy here, another one that's probably just, like, not good, and it's Reshiram. And I looked, and I tried to find something good for this guy. And honestly, all I came up with was you pair it with Sun. It gets Fusion Bolt, right, which is, like, a pretty good move, right? It gets Fusion Flare. It gets what's the other fire type move it gets? It's like a Blue Flare. It gets, like, these fire type moves. It also gets, like, Overheat. I think you just pair it up with probably Koraidon is the way to go. Like, you could make an argument for Groudon. Like, they're both probably fine, but I think you just pair Reshiram up with, like, you pair it with a Sunsetter, you pair it with Chi, you pair it with Fluttermane, maybe a Raging Bolt as well. And then, yeah, that's kind of how you abuse it. In terms of items, like, you look at the stats, it's pretty damn slow, which is its issue. Like, Choice Scarf honestly isn't bad. I could even see a world where you just say, like, stuff it, I'm giving up speed and just going, like, bulky. You know, you maybe run something like this. But yeah, I'm not a big believer in Reshiram. I think it's niche as it's good into opposing Sun. But in this current metagame, like, you probably just pair it with Sun or you don't play with anything at all. Then we have Solgaleo. Solgaleo is another interesting one. Like, I don't think it's that good right now. Again, Sunsteel Strike off this mon is, like, insane. Like, it's actually, like, really good. I think weakness policy, like, it's cool in theory, bad in practice. Its stats are there. Like, it has good attack, its bulk is solid, its speed's actually not even that bad. But, like, its issue is it kind of has to, like, run max speed. Like, is there a world where you ever, like, scarf this thing? Like, is this the way? Like, I don't know, man. Like, you just run it like a Urshifu, but, like, you just want to win the 50-50 and not die. But yeah, look, in terms of the set on this one, I don't know. But I think its best friend is Kyogre, simply because, like, again, they synergize really well together. This is someone that doesn't want to look at, like, Insyn. Like, yes, you know, you have full body, like, full metal body, so you don't care about Intimidates. But it's going to fake you out. It's going to knock you off. It's going to be really annoying. You're weak to fire types. And because of that, like, Drizzle, like, it just helps out a lot, yeah. It's very similar to, like, Zacian, I think, in a sense, like, how these two function. You have a pretty solid matchup into Calyrex-Ice, which like Kyogre doesn't struggle with. But then you kind of have the issue of like of Miraidon, right? So like maybe, I don't know, maybe you have to run like Terra Ground, Terra Blast or something on this. But yeah, I think Solgaleo's best partner is Kyogre. I could be wrong. Not a mon on my list to test, unfortunately. So next up is Zekrom. Now, Zekrom's issue is it's just not Miraidon. That is kind of how I would sum this mon up. It's like really interesting because like again, its speed stat like pathetic. You have to run this mon Jolly because at +1 you don't outspeed Shadow, right? Similar to what we said earlier. And look at this, man, your speed tie. I will say at least this guy can run Clear Amulet, unlike Kyurem Black. Like that is the one thing going for it. In terms of the sets, I don't know, man. I think you're playing like Bolt Strike, and then you probably want like, do you get anything that isn't Outrage? Like I think Outrage is probably this mon's just like best move, right? I mean, it gets Dragon Claw. Like maybe that's the play. Maybe it's just like DDD Dance, and then you just drop this for like Wild Charge or something. Yeah, like I don't know. Maybe this is the play. Maybe you need some ground coverage. Do you get like, I mean, do you get high horsepower? Probably not, right? Yeah, it'd have to be like EQ. Doesn't even get EQ. Yeah, I don't know. This one's not very good. But I would say if you're gonna play with anything, you play with Zacian. Has really good defensive synergy. Biggest issue is its weakness to ground types. And because of that, I do think you probably just pair this thing with like Qianpao Urshifu. And you just say, hey, I got 4 really strong attackers. Yes, my restricteds lose to Groudon. Yes, my restricteds lose to what's it called? Landorus Incarnate. But that's where you just say, hey, all right, you know, Qianpao Urshifu, do your thing. Probably need some form of weather control, so maybe it is just like a Pelipper, right? Maybe you just go like Pelipper, Qianpao, Urshi, and then call it a day. Just I was gonna say, do you just run this thing special and just go Thunder? Maybe that's the play. You just play special Zekrom with Pelipper. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Zekrom's very good. But yeah, I do think Zacian is probably its best friend. Now, to round out the video, we actually have a few of the GOATs. So the first one here we're going to talk about is Groudon. Now, Groudon is a mon that I think has some pretty decent partners. Of course, shout out to Lunadon, one of the better ones. But I am actually just a big fan of Miraidon, right? You're going to hear me say this like all the time when it comes to Sun. But you have a Sunsetter, you have a strong special attacker, and you have the greatest Pokemon of all time, Chi. You pair these guys together, you're going to have a really good time. I also think Miraidon and Groudon are 2 of the best partners when paired with Grimmsnarl. I think these mons paired with screens is ridiculous. And then again, there's a lot of different sets you can run, right? The Clear Amulet, you know, double attack where you go something like Precipice Blades, you go Heat Crash, and then you go just like Protect, and then whatever you want in the last slot. I think Bulk Up is like honestly a solid option, especially behind screens. I think there's a world where you go like Leftovers on this as well. I also think there's a world where you just go Helping Hand as your last move, which is like really good. I don't think this one wants Terra Fire as well, just to put it out there. And then yeah, the cool thing with Miraidon, right, is you can say, hey, I'm gonna go Terra Electric Choice Specs, and I'm just gonna go like my standard stuff, right? You go like Electro Drift, you go Volt Switch, and you go Draco Meteor. And then because you're Terra Electric, you're not Terra Fairy, you just go Discharge. Like, I played a game with Choice Scarf Miraidon the other day, where my Terra Electric Helping Hand Discharge one-shot a Clefairy, and it dropped a Calyrex to its Sash. I thought it was one of the funniest things I'd ever seen. Like, it was like, I think they plotted or some shit. Like, no, I don't think they plotted. I forget exactly. Oh no, maybe they did plot. I think they plotted and then clicked follow me, and then I just like Helping Hand Discharged and then just left them on 1 HP. But yeah, it was like really funny, and it's even better with Choice Specs. As I said, I do think Scarf also works on this set. The issue is on a team like this, I think Chiyu is your Scarfer and this is just your Specs mon. But yeah, both just the synergies there, right? It's an electric type, it's a ground type. They're 2 of the best in class. And they just have a lot of synergy. And again, like you can run stuff like this where you go like Leftovers Bulk Up, you pair it with like Grimmsnarl, and then you put like another fake out piece on the team, or like, you know, an Incin or whatever. And you just have like a really strong core. I also think having support as well, like probably something like the Farigiraf, like for just the priority block, is also really good. Because you can just play this like really bulky team behind screens and just cause a lot of problems. But yeah, I think Miraidon Groudon actually like really good. Now we have the other bike, which is my GOAT Koraidon. Now Koraidon, I've played this mon quite a bit. I think at this stage we all know the set. It's Clear Amulet, it's Life Orb, it's something along those lines, right? You're running, normally it's like Flare Blitz, right? You're running Close Combat or Collision Course depending on the item. Flame Charge, of course, is really good. I still think there's like ways where you can like fit in a Swords Dance or like a Scale Shot into the set, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. But I think its best partner is just Calyrex-Shadow Rider. The offensive potential of this core is crazy, and it goes back to exactly what I was saying before. You have this one here, who, by the way, he can run Helping Hand too. You have this one here. You have this one here. You have this one here. All right, my goat. The beautiful Chi. Yeah. Koraidon sets the sun for the Chi-Yu goes burn, right? You get Chi-Yu next to Calyrex, the Calyrex goes burn. It's pretty simple. You slap on a Raging Bolt here to, help out with your sun weakness, and you got yourself a pretty damn solid team, right? You just round it out with 2 supportive pieces, you're gonna have a good time. But yeah, I think Calyrex-Koraidon is actually one of the best offensive duos in the game. The single target damage coming out of Koraidon and the spread damage coming out of a Calyrex-Shadow is just absurd. And again, they both pair so well with Chi-Yu. Chi-Yu's my goat, so like putting them together just makes so much sense to me. Alright, and then to round it out, we have the last bike, and that is Miraidon. Now, Miraidon's an interesting one because this is a mon I've put with a lot of mons. I spoke about it with Lunala. We spoke about it with Calyrex-Ice. I think I put it with a different mon. Did I? Let me check my notes. Yeah, Lunala, Calyrex-Ice. That's all we put it with. But honestly, this mon, it goes a lot further than that, right? Oh, and Groudon. So we put it with Groudon. That's 3. But there was one mon I don't think we talked about. And this is a bit of a low-key sleeper. I don't know if people are actually going to look at it, but like, it's there. It's the double bike, baby. I actually think double bike, unironically, could be so insane. Again, you spoke about Chi-Yu before, right? Like, it's kind of the same thought process as like the whole Groudon stuff, except you kind of have to like slightly change the team, right? You have like potentially a Choice Specs Miraidon, you have a a Choice Scarf Chi-Yu, you have Life Orb, potentially Clear Amulet, of course, on the Koraidon. You pair it up with things like a Speed Booster Flutter Mane who's Terra Normal. Maybe you slap like an Assault Vest, Raging Bolt on this, right? Because like that's the other thing as well. Actually, I say Assault Vest, honestly, low key. This is the source here. Like, I'll give it to you guys right now. I've done the calcs. A Sun boosted, Electric Terrain boosted, Beads of Ruin, Terra Electric, Life Orb, Thunderclap is stupid. I'm pretty sure it one-shot bulky Calyrex, which is absolutely insane. Like, to think about a 70 base power move one-shotting Calyrex, it's absurd. But like, when you factor in everything, like you factor in Electric Terrain, you factor in the Photosynthesis, you factor in Life Orb, you factor in Terra Electric, you factor in Beads of Ruin, it's honestly bonkers. Like, I look at this team, I don't know what mon you slap on it to like round it out, right? Because you have this like massive ground weakness. Like maybe you just say I need something that can deal with the ground types. Maybe it's just it's the Goat Iron bundle. Maybe like the answer is you just go like Covered Cloak bundle. Like this to me, it seems way too offensive. Like I just look at this and I'm like, yeah, you gotta hope your opponent has like no fucking support. And like I don't know, maybe like this is the answer, right? Maybe it's like Taunt Flutter Mane. Maybe it's like Trick Room Imprison Flutter Mane. Maybe that's the answer. But yeah, I actually think there's so much potential with Double Bike, and this is one of those combos where like I want to test it out so badly, but there's just so much to play, and it seems like a gimmick. And I say it seems like a gimmick. I've been out here playing Mewtwo, so like I can't sit here and say it's a gimmick. I tanked like 300 points. I was literally sitting like 50th on the ladder, and then I was like, oh, Mewtwo sounds fun, and then I literally went from like top 50 to like 1200. It was, yeah, it wasn't good. Yeah, anyway, guys, I think that's it. I think I got through the list. This went a lot longer than I thought it would. I honestly thought I'd have it done in 20 minutes. And we're not close. We're not close to 20 minutes. But yeah, guys, if you made it to the end of the video, obviously, please like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. It means the world to me. Let me know if you think there's any combos I missed. Obviously, we're still really young in the metagame. At the time of recording this, it's been out for, I think, about 10 days. So I'm really, really interested to see how things develop. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one, and I'll catch you boys in the next one. Peace.